The stations of KUAM, proud sponsor of the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts, Guam 2016. What we own, what we have, what we share, united voice of the Pacific.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&D.
KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia for over 75 years. Matson Navigation, proud sponsor of FestPac 2016. Cars Plus, Dodge Challenger, the undisputed champion. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. Pacific Solar, and King's Restaurant.
Coming up on Prime Time, a woman accused of stealing from the Jotnya Catholic Church appeared in court. Crystal Paco is there and has the details.
And Ken Quintanilla reporting tonight on 3 people indicted in connection to a bribery case in Gura.
Also tonight, does the hospital need another bailout? Isa Baza explores that issue. And if you're joining us live on KUAM TV or watching us on YouTube on our live stream, wherever in the world you're from, good evening, Guam, and hafa day. Well, a woman accused of stealing from a local Catholic church is also accused, Bree, of faking a life-threatening illness.
Our Crystal Paco reports from the Superior Court of Guam, where Veronice Tovis appeared before presiding Judge Alberto Lamarena.
She said the church gave her their blessing.
When questioned by police, she stated that Father Villagomez gave her authority to misappropriate church funds. However, Father Villagomez has denied that in a written statement. And this deception has spanned about 4 years.
But that's not all. Prosecutors believe defendant Veronice Tovis may also be faking cancer. Early Wednesday morning, the 60-year-old woman turned herself in to authorities. This after a warrant for her arrest was issued on Friday. For the last 10 years, Tovis worked as the St. Francis Catholic Church's finance officer. For a number of those years, she allegedly tampered with checks and pocketed hundreds of thousands of dollars for herself. At a return of warrant hearing held late Wednesday, prosecutor Lisa Lorig recommended the court set bail at $10,000, noting this isn't Tovis's first time to be arrested in this case.
She's known to deceive and go to great lengths for her to construct her deceptions, and without significant cash bail, it's difficult to see that she'll appear when required. At the time of her original arrest in 2015, officers intended to book and confine her, but she indicated that she suffered from cancer and she pleaded to be let go. So she was booked and released at that time. Afterwards, the officers seemed to form a belief that she may not have been truthful about her medical condition, and others in the community have expressed doubt regarding her medical conditions that she was treated for several years ago, and that she seemed to be fine afterwards, up until the time that she was terminated from employment.
Defense attorney Darlene Heighton objected to that amount and asked her client be released on personal recognizance, but was denied by the court.
The evidence the prosecution or the government has was in their possession at least as early as October of last year. My client was released from a position in June of 2015 and knew about these matters since that time, and has had every opportunity, or could have taken the opportunity, Your Honor, to flee the jurisdiction. Instead, she has not.
Tovis's indictment lists nearly 24 felony charges, including theft, forgery, and deception. She will answer to those charges on March 9. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Crystal Paco.
News now about a former senator, as Bob Klitsky is calling on the director of the Department of Land Management to correct what he calls a bogus certificate of title for the multi-million-dollar former Hotel Accion property over in Jotnya. The area, now known as the Redemptorist Mater Seminary, has been clouded in controversy over the last year and between concerned Catholics and Archbishop Anthony Aparon. By way of a letter, Klitsky from late last year is asking Borja, who he lists as the ex officio registrar of titles, to address the certificate of title.
If you look at the declaration of deed restriction, the first thing that you see is that it dedicates the property, the Jotnya property, to a corporation, the Redemptus Mater Corporation, in perpetuity for the use as a seminary. But if you read a little farther, and if you read something we refer to as the bronze opinion, it's more than a deed restriction. It is actually a conveyance in fee simple, where the Archbishop, a corporation sole, has deeded that property to a corporation of which he has no control. It's a really serious matter.
Borja could not be reached for comment, whereas Father Adrian Cristobal of the Archdiocese of Agana has no comment on the letter. You can read Klitzky's letter on KUAM.com.
While she had resigned from her position following a joint investigation by federal and local authorities, a former housing specialist at the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority has now been indicted for her alleged involvement in receiving bribes. Ken Quintanilla has more.
A Superior Court of Guam grand jury has issued an indictment for 54-year-old Antonia Mayo San Nicolas. The former Gura housing specialist, also known as Tony Mayo, recently resigned from her position amid allegations of fraud. A joint investigation was launched earlier this year by HUD's Inspector General's office, the FBI, and the Attorney General of Guam after a tip was received that Mayo was allegedly soliciting a bribe from a Section 8 client. Mayo had been working at Gura for more than 10 years. Mayo, along with Matas Johnson and Albert Salas Buendicho, are listed as defendants on the indictment. Mayo is being charged for receiving a bribe from 3 individuals for certification for Section 8 eligibility. She's also being charged for theft by deception by obtaining payments from 2 of those individuals by promising to have someone at Rev and Tax fix their taxes so they could be eligible for Section 8 assistance. Matas Johnson is listed as one of the Section 8 recipients involved and is being charged for giving bribes. He's also being charged for obstructing government function for telling federal agents untruthful statements when contacted by Mayo after she was told not to contact any Section 8 recipients who paid her a bribe. As for Buendicho, he is named as taking part in the bribery scheme. He was charged earlier this week with guilt established by complicity to receiving a bribe and conspiracy. In response to the investigation and the allegations of fraud, Gura Executive Director Michael Duenas says ethics workshops for every division within Gura, along with its board and senior managers, were underway. Last month, Section 8 staff were also being trained on prevention and detection of fraud, abuse, and waste. The HUD, IG, and the FBI are expected to follow up on their investigation later this month. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Ken Quintanilla.
In other island news headlines, a calendar committee meeting including representatives from the Guam Education Board, DOE, and the Guam Federation of Teachers got heated this afternoon as various stakeholders discussed the revised school calendar implemented for the Festival of Pacific Arts. GFT union representatives were upset that the new calendar has them working additional days.
You've just added 7 of them. We've already fulfilled the 2 professional development days. I don't see how you can't understand that these teachers are working 7 extra days no matter what. Even if you give us the gracious, honest...
The union also raised concerns that FESPAC will impact schools being utilized for housing.
In a letter Tuesday, Senator Michael San Nicolas says he will not conduct a confirmation hearing for newly appointed DOA Director Christine Boleto until money is deposited into the tax refund account. He says the account is short over $21 million. In response, the governor's office says they are disappointed that San Nicolas has again, quote, taken on the charade of holding the acting DOA director's nomination hostage to force the administration to pay tax refunds, something they say is already being done. The governor's director of communications says just like last year, the administration continues to pay refunds without a 1-year refund reserve, and they're paying them within about 4 to 5 months without borrowing. The spokesperson says that what's different from last year is people are filing larger claims that net to larger credits and taxes paid. They are filing earlier, and there's an increase in EITC claims. She adds people can be assured they will get their refund because they actively work to solve these problems.
Also tonight, it wouldn't be the first time, but could another government bailout be a solution to address the chronic financial concerns at the Guam Memorial Hospital? As our Isa Baza reports, that is an option that's on the table.
We acknowledge the fact that the accumulation of debt is due in great part, almost in its entirety, to the hospital's inability to collect from those who are self-pay.
Will Castro is the spokesperson for the Guam Memorial Hospital Management Advisory Team. GMH owes a staggering $27 million to vendors, $4.5 million of which is owed to the Government of Guam Retirement Fund, an entity which recently elected to take GMH to court for unpaid contributions.
HMAT did discuss the retirement fund issue, and I can tell you that the chief fiscal advisor to the governor, to include the governor himself and the legal team, are actively working on finding ways to meet that challenge.
According to GGRF Board of Trustees Treasurer Jerry Cruz, this isn't the first time the board has decided to take legal action against GMH for late payment. Matter of fact, before GGRF could file their lawsuit the last time, government bond was taken out to essentially bail out the hospital. Could that be a solution for the present situation?
All the possible solutions are on the table, and whether it requires, to use your phrase, a government bailout, that's one consideration.
Committee on Health Chair Senator Dennis Rodriguez.
For me personally, that's not something that I really would like to see happen now. I think we need to see how we can manage the situation that is now. There are options that we have on the table. I've introduced a bill to kind of provide one of those options to offset some of the taxes of our vendors.
Castro said the HMAT team continues to meet bi-weekly to review cost-cutting measures it has already implemented, as well as answer the most pressing question, finding supplemental sources of revenue.
How do we make up the $10 to $20 million a year, as an example, for folks to subsidize hospital operations? Because whether they pay or not, the hospital has to remain open. And that remains probably the single most important question for a public safety net hospital like Guam Memorial.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
It is time to break away, but up next it is Super Tuesday in the States. We'll have the latest with Decision 2016 coming up.
Stay connected to the world at home from everywhere you are. Get the KUAM News app for the latest in local news, videos, sports, streaming, ISLA 63 AM, weather, and more. Available for free now at the iTunes App Store or Google Play.
Congratulations! Just won! I did!
You too can win in Calvo's Insurance Ride Your Dreams giveaway. If you are a Calvo's Insurance home or personal auto customer, you qualify to enter by texting LOYAL to 2015. And if you need an insurance quote, text quote to 2015 for a chance to win in our grocery giveaway. Thank you, Guam, for placing your trust in Calvo's. Insure with Calvo's today and ride your dreams to reality.
The University of Guam invites you to celebrate Charter Day on Tuesday, March 8th. The celebration begins at 9 a.m.
Explore the center court for a fun-filled day of food, games, and activities for the entire family.
Check out the Chamorro language competition at the Calvo Fieldhouse.
Take a campus tour, visit the UOG Marine Lab.
Watch the finals of the President's Cup and much more.
Join us for Charter Day at the University of Guam, Tuesday, March 8th, starting at 9 a.m.
University of Guam, no place like home.
It's March Money Madness going on now at Triple J. Make a fast break and get 30 seconds to grab for cash in our money machine with every Honda, Acura, or Kia purchase. Get out-of-bounds savings like the all-new, redesigned North American Car of the Year, the 2016 Honda Accord sedan at only $133 per paycheck, or an all-new 2016 Kia Soul or 2016 Kia Forte. Your choice at only $15,995 or $98 per paycheck, inclusive of Guam's #1 warranty. Visit our showroom in Upper Tumon today or get pre-approved instantly at carsguam.com. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
Follow KUAM News on Twitter or become a fan on Facebook to get all your daily headlines from Guam's News Network.
It was a big day in the mainland today as our friends at CBS News are projecting winners in some of the 12 delegate-rich states participating in Super Tuesday. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are racking up victories, as Craig Boswell explains in this next story.
Republican frontrunner Donald Trump had a Super Tuesday, with CBS News projecting primary wins in 7 states.
I think, honestly, we've done something that
almost nobody thought could be done.
Ted Cruz nabbed the biggest prize of the night, his home state of Texas, a crucial win for the conservative candidate. CBS News also projects he won Oklahoma.
Our campaign beats Donald Trump resoundingly.
Marco Rubio picked up the first win of his campaign, with CBS News calling Minnesota for the senator. A third of Republican voters said the most important quality in their candidate is that he shares their values and can bring change. For Democrats, it's that they have the right experience. CBS News projects Hillary Clinton won 7 states. She now has a third of the delegates needed to clinch the nomination.
This country belongs to all of us, not just those at the top.
Bernie Sanders is celebrating a victory in his home state of Vermont. CBS News also projects he picked up Colorado, Minnesota, and Oklahoma.
The people, when we stand together, will be victorious.
While nearly every candidate in the race picked up a win, the frontrunners are now so far ahead, they're harder to catch. Craig Boswell, KUAM, Guam's News Network.
No candidate may clinch the nomination tonight, as some 35 states still have to vote, including New York and California, big states.
Presidents for both the University of Guam and Guam Community College went before the legislature this afternoon to answer questions about what they're doing to improve sexual misconduct policies at their respective campuses. The roundtable was called after recent concerns from Governor Eddie Calvo that sexual harassment was not being prioritized at the university level. Each institution gave detailed accounts of the improvements they've made in the past year. Dr. Mary Okada and Dr. Robert Underwood.
We have some folks that are trained to do the investigations, and in addition to, we have several certified counselors on campus.
In this new policy, we have responsible employees, which are basically almost all employees of the university. And then we have campus security authorities, which are responsible for safety, and they actually kind of monitor the Clery Act reports. And we have a SART, a sexual assault response team. That's the team that is going to be specifically trained depending upon the occurrence that will conduct the investigation.
Speaker Wonpat said 68% of sexual harassment cases at the university level go unreported, and she hopes to improve those statistics here in Guam. A date is yet to be announced for the next meeting.
We have good news to report if you love the region and love movies, because 2 films dealing with Pacific Island issues via the Pacific Islanders in Communications Deep Water series will be screened tonight and tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to happen at 10 a.m., high noon, 4 p.m., and 6 p.m. at Building 400 at GCC in Manilao. Insular Empire, America in the Mariana Islands, will examine the relationship between the United States and the Marianas, while a second film, There Once Was an Island, Tehenua i Nohono, will explore how some South Pacific communities are fighting to save their homes from climate change and rising tides. That event happens March the 2nd, today, and the 3rd, and is free to the public. I pronounced that right.
I hope so. With the Festival of Pacific Arts set for May of this year, the island is preparing to welcome thousands of additional visitors. With them, however, is also an increased chance of uninvited guests, specifically invasive species. According to University of Guam entomologist Dr. Aubrey Moore, Guam Customs and Quarantine was able to intercept a live fly that was found in a fumigated container of nipa leaves to be used for festpac huts. Moore is currently working to identify the fly and its possible effects to the island.
Associated with festpac, and it's coming from a lot of different islands. So there will be an increase.
Moore notes he is not a taxonomist, but can say it is a plant pest. Already the island has a growing list of invasive species. The most notable are the brown tree snake, the coconut rhinoceros beetle, and the little fire ant.
Well, Guam Premier Outlets and Tumon Sands Plaza General Manager Monty Mesa, a good friend of ours, has been selected to be part of the 16th Japanese American Leadership Delegation. The program is sponsored by Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and is dedicated to building connections between Japanese leaders and strengthening ties between that country and the U.S. Mesa joins 9 other delegates from the U.S. and traveled to Japan for the week-long program, engaging with leaders in business, government, academia, and cultural sectors. The initiative's event is set for March 5th through the 12th. Congratulations.
The University of Guam is offering a summer travel course through Southeast Asia in June. The 2-week course is open to members of the community and will take participants to Burma, Thailand, and Cambodia. It will be led by philosophy professor Dr. Kim Scrooge.
The culture, the focus is on religion
and philosophies. They learn a lot about Buddhism and Hinduism, and they're picking versions of that in these countries. So it's an invaluable experience. I mean, to see it and live within it.
Dr. Skoog says an informational hearing will be held at the Humanities and Social Science Conference Room Thursday, 3:30 in the afternoon. And for more information, you can call 735-2800.
Now, I took Dr. Skoog's class when I was at UOG. Really, really nice guy. And if you are going to UOG and you're considering what class to take philosophy from Dr. Skoog. You will not regret it. Really informative stuff. Good guy, too. All right, sports is next. Plus later in Think Green, Isa Baza returns, and she introduces you to a nonprofit organization blending together science and environmental stewardship. Stay tuned for that.
When you come to Chuck E. Cheese's, you can see what's new. New fun! New games! New cousins! What's new? New awesomeness! Where a kid can't be a kid.
Get ready. It's time to party, to rally, to run in paradise. 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon. All the fun in one great run, in one great half-a-day experience. Register today for the Guam International Marathon on April 10th.
What AutoSpot in-house financing means to you is 3 simple benefits to buying a car: lower interest rates, flexible financing, and lower monthly payments. Yes, AutoSpot in-house financing brings mainland programs for island living. Whether you want to finance your new GMC, Buick, or Mitsubishi, AutoSpot can help you find the right monthly payment to fit your budget. Click on GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO. You'll be amazed what we can do. Visit us today.
Half a day Guam, sitting in for the one and only and vacationing Dave Delgado. My name is Chris Barnett, and let me tell you, we got a pretty big show. It's not the biggest show, but it ain't the smallest. It's about like this big today, okay? Coming up, we're going to look at girls middle school soccer, but first, let's kick it off with some AA boys basketball playoffs. Yeah! All right, number 1, Nathaniel Guyton there, All-Islander, over to Kyle Borsia, to Hezekiah Cruz, to Carlo DeLeon, Geckos. DeLeon would finish with 10 points, 2 right there. Harvest, though, only 4-12 on the regular season, but boy, did they come to ball last night at the GW gym. The Harvest D-Dow. Yep, they're going to get the steal here. Sake out to Kobe Sotelo, who had a game-high 30 points. Number 4 on the flow. That's money, baby. Okay, and now Harvest again behind a great game from big man Mark Temerowski, who always seemed to keep it on the down low. Okay, some great post play from him. And look at this. Mark Temerowski sneaking backdoor. Wait for it. Nice precision pass from Ben Tevid, finding big man Mark. And 2 points right there. Temerowski would finish with 13 points on the evening, but it was the Geckos. Yep, sending Harvest packing for the year. And look at the fundamental player, All-Islander Guyton. Follow the ball, put it in the hole, hit the rock. Just like that, yo. And number 5, Devin St. Augustine, he was also all-island, finished with 15 points. Geckos 76-70 over Harvest in overtime. Noah Blas with 11 points for the Geckos. And here comes Temerowski, coast to coast, from Umatic to Retidian. Count it. Harvest, Jandong Lynch, 16 points. And Kobe Sotelo again with 30. Mark Temerowski, 13. GW will go on to face longtime rival Simon Sanchez Friday. All right, more results from Double AG boys basketball round 1 playoffs. St. John's 84, Southern High Dolphins 24. St. Paul 72 over Notre Dame 62. Ukadu Bulldogs 70. T-Gen 39. And the Geckos, of course, 76-70 over Harvest in overtime. Now the playoffs continue. Quarterfinals action Friday, all games 6 p.m. St. John's 10-6 at Father Duenas 13-3. The Geckos 10-6 regular season at the Sharks 11-5. Bulldogs Ukadu at Guam High 13-3. St. Paul 5-11 at JFK Islanders 12-4. Remember, the top 2 teams in each division got that first round bye. So we're going to see the best of the best in action Friday night. Father Duenas and Guam High tied for the best records in the boys basketball high school league at 13-3. So once again, good luck to everybody, and we'll keep you posted on some results right here on the show. Now to middle school girls soccer. Anderson Middle takes on the Lady Obispos of Bishop Baumgartner. Sin City in the house at the UOG Field. Lady Obispos undefeated going into this game and fresh off a Week 6 win over McCool. They handed McCool their only loss of the season, by the way. Would they finish undefeated? Oh, yes, they would. The Lady Obispos end the year with a perfect 7-0 record with the 3-0 win over Anderson. Lauren Phillips with 2 goals in the victory, and Isabella Bass netting the other goal. Come on, I had to do that, right? Hard-fought game here as Anderson stepped up their defense in the second half and managed to keep the Lady O's scoreless. Hey, shout out to Bishop goalie Yvonne Perez, though, for holding off some tough Anderson attacks. And congratulations to Bishop once again for their 7-0 record. They effectively win the middle school girls soccer championship. They are the champions, my friends. All right, Lady Obispos, you perfect. Hey, check us out tomorrow on the show where we're going to dedicate the whole shebang to the Guam International Marathon. They're having a big press conference, and we got a lot of Team KUAM doing the half marathon. You know, I'm doing the 10K. We got some 5Kers. So it's going to be a GIM special tomorrow. Remember, anything sports, malfunction at KUAM.com. Once again, my name is Chris Barnett, sitting in for Dave Delgado. You guys take care. Adios.
This is iPhone 6s. Not much has changed, except it feels different. Now you press lightly to peak and deeper to pop. It changes how easily you can peek a flight, check a post, search for dinner. Ooh, you guys are gonna love that place. You can find a getaway easier. Yeah, go there. And find music easier. Wait, are you listening to your own song?
No, I was, hello?
So pretty much everything you do feels different. And that's what's changed.
These used cars are Nissan certified, and let me show you why I stand behind every used car that we sell. First, our certified technicians inspect every used car to make sure it's safe, reliable, and mechanically sound. Then any scratches and dings are given first-class treatment at our body shop. And after thorough detailing inside and out, the car is ready for sale. At a price that's always below Blue Book. That makes Nissan used cars your best buy.
While hundreds of homeless seek shelter every day, when memories fade like old photographs, and families struggle to care for loved ones with special needs, as young children are caught in the storm of abuse and neglect, we are there. For over 30 years, we have helped Guam's victims of life when there was nowhere else to turn. You can help too by giving $1 a month. God bless you.
You know the rules. Eggs and sausage, hotcakes and butter. Morning fare, right? Well, McDonald's has thrown away those rules and opened a new world of possibilities. Now you're free to start enjoying the breakfast you love anytime you wish.
No way.
Yes way. Introducing McDonald's new all-day breakfast menu. Once, you changed how you ate breakfast. It's time to start changing when.
Hafidin, welcome back. In this week's Think Green, Issa Boz introduces you to a new nonprofit organization that blends together science and environmental stewardship. Here's more.
Think Green is presented by Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics, keeping Guam green one roof at a time. Call 632-4002 for more information.
It's about science, it's about outreach, it's about doing research, it's about stewardship of our island and our island waters.
Jolie Hartup is the co-founder of the Micronesia Conservation Coalition, along with her friend Jennifer Cruz. The research-based nonprofit uses science to explore environmental issues for the benefit of the community. She said the idea came to her when doing research in Yap, Pohnpei, and other parts of Micronesia, where she noticed science-based nonprofits often aid the government.
But we don't have anything here on Guam, and so I just started thinking about it and said, well, we need to have one here on Guam. So I started it.
Hartup is a marine biologist and has spent several years studying manta rays.
I was told numerous times not to study manta rays, and not just from outside and inside here in Guam. You know, like, oh, it will just take you forever to learn about them. I was told from international kind of science community was, oh, you just have a small population, you probably won't learn anything. And then here we are, when I did my research, we came up with a new behavior that had never been documented before. And so our Guam mantas are known for that.
She hopes providing a supportive organization will help children pursue science. MCC is planning several projects this year, including a service learning with island youth, shark studies, and a turtle project in Ulithi, which she hopes will become a training area for Guam students.
Learn how to, measure the carapace of a turtle, watch the eggs drop, all those things. So I think we have a lot at our fingertips that we could really take advantage of, and that's what we're trying to do. It's about everyone coming together. Islanders know that water and land are really connected, and the health of the island really is intertwined between the two.
For more information, you can visit micronesianconservation.org. With this week's Think Green, I'm Issa Baza.
Think Green is presented by Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics, keeping Guam green one roof at a time. Call 632-4002 for more information.
Well, there's still time, as island youth are invited to use their creativity
policy issues like education, healthcare, and the economy.
But let me ask you, Doc, because the pay issue. Now, if you go back to November, public hearing on again rolling back the pay raises, you know, it didn't get anywhere in the sense they voted it down. It didn't go anywhere. Recently, a few weeks ago, of course, they passed the bill in regards to well, we didn't realize, now we realize. You know, and I'm thinking, well, as soon as 2016 came about, so when you're saying it's not really a big issue, but they seem to think it's a big issue because now you had some transformations in regards to a change of stance, because they're saying, we didn't realize we were in this economic situation. We just did. When the administration came to us and said, there's a shortfall based on of lump sum payment paid to the 13 million to the retirees. So here again, it's like election year. You have a couple changes. It passed, and so obviously some are thinking on re-election, and how they're not be able to remove themselves from that.
Sure, I think though that how can I say it? The pay issue exists only if they believe it exists. And what I mean by that is we can go back 20 years and let's find a year when people are not dissatisfied about where money is spent or how it's spent, or views that people feel that we don't have enough money or that we're not apportioning money correctly. And there are all these disputes that related to that. My point for that is it doesn't matter the year. There's always going to be the issue that we're not spending money the way we should be spending money. Politics is about who gets what, when, and how. And there's no better political issue than a pay issue because it deals with who in the legislature or executive branch gets the amount of money for doing what they're supposed to be doing. I think, though, that this is a non-issue politically. I don't think that the public really cares about the issue from all indications. I don't think that, and particularly relative to other important issues, the public would wish that our leaders would concentrate on, that they're not doing because of this pay issue and this very small number of very vocal people who want to make a public issue out of it.
Now, Doc, this is midterm basically here. This is again for the legislature and mayoral, but you have a new, I think is a new Democratic chairman. I think Keen Paris is the new Democratic chair for the Democratic Party, of course. Now, as a midterm election, they're going to gear up to get ready for 2 years from now, the gubernatorial election. They're going to try to get as many. If they try to retain the majority in the legislature, if not get a super majority, maintain what they have at this point. They're going to try to get back the mayoral seats because the majority of the mayors at this point in Guam are Republicans. So they're going to try to do that to be able to again get control of ADLU, which the Democrats haven't had control of in 16 years, right? Sure. So 16 would be 16 years at the time. What do both parties have to do again what do the Republicans need to do to try to gain the majority in the legislature and retain ADLU? What does the Democrat have to do to retain his majority and likewise, try to get into ADLU?
Sure. There's a thing in my field of public administration, we call it functionalism. It's almost doing like math. And if you look at the majority in the Guam legislature, the Democrat majority in the Guam legislature is largely a function of 16 years of Republican governors. Because what happens is all of the talent is drawn into the Republican administration, and then everybody who's a Democrat who feels they have talent have nowhere to go except get elected to the legislature. And they don't want to, God forbid, become a mayor because that works too hard. So they want political jobs in the legislature because it's a fairly easy job and it's a high status job and there's not a lot of hard work attached to it. And so we have a Democrat legislature because we have had Republican governors for so long, and we're going to probably, all else equal, if things pan out the way they look like they're going to pan out, the next majority is going to be a Democrat legislature also. In order for the Republicans to make a dent in the legislature, it may sound counterintuitive, but the technique is very, very simple. You just hire more Democrats into elite out-of-loop jobs, which then pulls the talent base away from the Democrats and ties them up just as the Republicans are tied up, and that makes the legislature more competitive.
But let me ask you this. That being said, you know, because I know quite a few, actually, some of them were my former staff who were Democrats who are now working in the administration, and they didn't change to Republican. They're still Democrats. Now, of course, after you know, the Calverton administration, wouldn't some of them be courted back by, you know, because you have again the established Democrats. You know, Keem Paris is an established Democrat, and so would Berdaliocrat, okay? Wouldn't that establishment, and again, most of the people that I know that work for the administration were Berdaliocrats as well.
Bureaucrats who do very critical technical or support roles that are merit-based. It's almost because they have these skills, they're in these positions. You don't find unskilled Democrats and Republicans doing technical jobs in our government. What this means, though, I guess the people I'm talking about that the Republicans kind of sort of need to raid are the ones that are in political office just because they're politicians and they don't have any other skills. So in order to shake the Democrats out of the legislative majority, you actually have to raid people from the legislature who really don't have any skills, and you don't want them anyway to pull them into the administration. And that's a hard thing to do, obviously. And by the way, there's unskilled Republicans and Democrats. I'm not just bashing
You're making us feel real confident in our government there, Doc.
But that's how government is. In fact, most politicians, particularly in the legislature, rely almost solely and exclusively on their staff. And their staff are very competent. And the ones who get elected often, you know, get elected because they're nice people. And that's about it. I mean, there's, and I don't mean to sound overly critical, but if we, I'll tell you, the governor's side is entirely different. It's a tough, you know, technical job, and you got to have technical skills to be governor. But the legislative side is a little bit more fuzzy-wuzzy in terms of who it takes and what it takes.
Well,
to get
you know, now you got me. Now you're.
And no offense, by the way.
No. Now you're having me change the definition of what an unskilled worker is. Now, as an unskilled worker, I used to be an unskilled worker. Be right back.
This program is brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.
Sunday barbecues are better when there's more than enough bandwidth to share. Sign up for GTA Fiber to the neighborhood today and enjoy faster internet on more devices. GTA, your island, your faster fiber network.
Ruby Tuesday now gives you more for lunch. Endless trips to the Fresh Garden Bar, plus add-ons, mini combinations, and even new meal options. It's the new lunchtime menu, available Monday to Friday until 2 p.m., only at Ruby Tuesday.
The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
My studio guest, Doc Ron McNitch. 2016 elections, boy, that was funny, as unskilled worker. So a new definition to that. We don't have to bring any more H2 workers out here. We have, well, no, but they're skilled workers. Yeah. Anyway, Doc, national elections. Sure. How would, a couple weeks ago, the governor endorsed Senator Ted Cruz to be the nominee. He said he's going to work hard to try to get all nine Republican conventional votes to sway over to Senator Cruz's camp for nomination to that. Now, but when I'm looking at this, okay, and I'm kind of critical of this. I myself personally, I'm a Marco Rubio guy. Okay, now when I'm looking at this, when I hear Ted Cruz and his representative is here in Guam, sat on my show. We talked to him and he told us. I mean, there's not going to be one representative who's not going to tell us everything we want to hear. During election time, he told us everything. I mean, shoot, I asked for a sticker right then and there because he told me everything I wanted to hear. But reality sets in, and we said, we've heard this before. We're talking about a strict constitutionalist, right? I'm going, man, they always mess us up because, again, they said, well, the Constitution really wasn't crafted for you guys. There was an amendment to the Constitution to make you constitutional. I mean, you're not constitutional citizens. So I'm saying a strict constitutionalist may not be as good, and has been proven hasn't been as good for Guam as we thought. Although we have maybe the same ideals, those are the ideals nationally doesn't necessarily apply to the territories. Your thoughts?
Sure. Well, first, I think that the governor made the Washington Post by endorsing Ted Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Great move for Guam. Shows that we matter.
Mm-hmm.
It got us in the national media. I think it's important that we endorse national candidates and participate in national politics. And there's a point, though, that I always remind everyone about how the federal government treats Guam or how the federal government treats territories. If you go back and study the history of of all 37 U.S. territories that later became states, and we have some that didn't become states. For example, the Philippines was a commonwealth and it became an independent country. You study all of those jurisdictions and how the federal government treated them or acted towards them. They were all a bunch of hicks and hillbillies and really given the puzzle palace voodoo treatment by Washington, D.C. There's nothing about that that's ever changed. People who live in territories are always viewed as being backward or behind the times or not worthy of statehood, or every single territory is treated like that. Our goal as citizens of a U.S. territory is to change that view and to show that this, is not we're not backward. We are not unsophisticated. We understand the language of governance. We understand the process. And I got to say, I don't think, at least in the current context, I don't think that a person who's born on Guam is any different than any other U.S. citizen constitutionally. I know people will try to cite the insular cases or they'll try to cite other examples to show why we're different. I just simply don't agree with it in the current context. The same U.S. Supreme Court justices that wrote the insular cases wrote Plessy versus Ferguson, which said you can separate the races and separate but equal. Same group of guys who did Plessy versus Ferguson addressed the insular cases. And so my point is, maybe times have changed, but the courts haven't changed their opinions on these things.
And now let me ask you this, because Trump was making a big thing out of this about Ted Cruz, about not being a U.S. citizen, not being eligible to run for president because of his birthplace was in Canada, although his mom was a U.S. citizen, and so by birthright, I mean, that was all settled, I guess, in regards to his qualification. Now let me ask you, let's switch that. Say he wasn't born in Canada, but he was born in Guam, not necessarily. Well, I mean, he was born in Guam, and okay, and so that being said, he's born in U.S. territory. He gets a U.S. citizenship like everybody else who's born in Guam, even if their parents were not U.S. citizens, but they're that particular person that maybe was born in Guam. So if he was born in Guam and again running, and of course the caucuses and different primaries throughout the state, will Trump have a cause to be concerned because he was born in Guam?
Well, I think that politicians will make political hay out of anything they think that will appeal to people. I think Ted Cruz is completely eligible to run for U.S. president. John McCain was born in the Panama Canal zone.
Yeah.
That wasn't a U.S.
Sure.
In fact, that's an excellent point. Panama Canal zone was the exact same status as Guam had.
Yeah.
And also, McCain was born of U.S. parents. Ted Cruz, his mother was a U.S. citizen, and I think that anyone trying to make this is a kind of, I view this as an extension of what's commonly called in the United States the birther argument that related to the Obama, whether Obama was actually born in Hawaii or not.
Okay.
And that's fine. It appeals to a certain fringe, crazy, radical division of the Republican Party and let them have their mini universe views on these things.
So, okay, if I wanted to run for president as being born here in Guam, would I be eligible if I moved back to the States and run?
I think you could run for U.S. president directly from here.
From here.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because you're in the United States.
But if Trump runs, he'll use that against me, right?
Of course, any politician will use any technique that I hate to say it, but in politics, there's an old saying: if it's worth fighting for, it's worth fighting dirty for. And so there's a lot of politicians who will do all kinds of dirty tricks to get themselves elected or to stay in office.
National issues versus local issues. Where do we have commonality?
Local is national, national is local. The exact same things, by and large, that affect Guam affect the rest of the United States. And we're affected, whether we know it or not, by these national things going on. When 9/11 happened, that wasn't a U.S. mainland thing. That was a Guam thing, too. So national is local. We have our issues here that need attention, and they have national boundaries and national processes to deal with them. And I think that what Guam needs, and I've said this over and over again, is just simply to ask Congress to allow our delegate to the House of Representatives to be our delegate to the U.S. Congress. So then our delegate can advise the U.S. Senate also. Because really we only have one of the two houses, a voice in one of the two houses. We need to have them in both houses because that's where we lose out nationally on national policy.
So looking forward, who do you think eventually will be the Democrat nominee for president, and who do you think will be the Republican nominee for presidency? Who do you think who would go against each other? In Ron McNich's polls and all that? Who do you think will be the nominees?
The four big names that everyone's talked about for the last several months on the Democrat side is Clinton versus Sanders. Those two. And on the Republican side, of course, is Trump versus Cruz. And so what's going to end up happening is one of two things. Either those two pairs are going to run together, or if they lead, they're going to pick a second to run with them as vice president. Just as we have our governor and lieutenant governors run together, there's going to be a second. If Trump wins, very likely he would join with probably somebody like Cruz or Rubio. If Cruz won and he wanted to really make a statement, he would choose Trump, just as Ronald Reagan chose Bush, who was his major critic in 1980. George Bush coined the term voodoo economics for Reagan's ideas about how to change the economy. So there's some interesting pairings that can be made. And so, but again, I forgot my magic 8 ball today, so I can't really.
You can do it there, but we'll talk about that as we get closer. Okay.
Yes.
Be right back. Pay some bills.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Moss.
Weaving. It's a form of art, abstract, functional, creative, learned and shared from one generation to another. With every strand, every twist, every fold, behind every woven piece is a story. Who I am, who we were, and who we are as a community, as Pacific Islanders. At the 2016 Festival of the Pacific Arts,
I will share my story.
A beautiful, healthy smile is an expression of confidence. The more confident you are about your smile, the more likely you are to fully express your feelings without having to worry about the way your teeth look.
Before cosmetic dentistry, I didn't smile as much. I didn't have the confidence, and it shows. And since I've had cosmetic dentistry done, I feel 10 times more confident. I make my initial introduction with a nice big smile and a handshake, and I just feel like it really is a relationship builder, a nice warm smile, and it makes the clients and customers feel more comfortable with you, feeling confident, and they feel that you're not just there for business, that you're also there kind of as a friend as well. So I mean, it's amazing how powerful a smile can be. A good smile.
Since your smile makes a significant impression on those around you, it is important that it makes the impression you want it to make. The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Doc McNitch is my in-studio guest tonight. And Doc, so 2016, what's it looking like legislature? Of course, I can predict there'll be 15 senators elected, okay? But what do you think the makeup is going to be? Is it going to be 9-6 Democrat, 9-6 Republican? How do you think that makeup is going to be? Is it going to be 8-7? How do you think that is going to...
Well, it could be 8-7 either way, but I tend to believe because of the brain drain toward Adelut for the Republicans, it'll remain a Democrat legislature, all else equal. But you can never tell. I mean, there have been instances when the Republicans have taken the legislature when there's a Republican governor and so on. And so I think that in general, that's one aspect. The legislature also is going to have to start demonstrating that they can actually get things done. And that's what they haven't been very good at. I have to tell you, if Guam wanted to have true legislative reform, we'd go back to 21 senators. Because right now we don't have enough voices to express the variety of opinions that adequately represent our community. 15 just doesn't do it.
In your estimation here, again, how the finishers finished last year, if you were number 15, if you're the lowest hanging fruit there, are you more susceptible then to be the one picked out by the other party, or does it start anew? What happens?
I think every cycle starts over again, and a person who was 15th or 14th or 13th could be in the top 5, and then a person in the top 5 could drop down to the bottom or out, and we've seen that happen many times.
Main issue, what number one issue people are talking about and very concerned on the local side?
I think in particular is probably the economy. And economic stability, and what's going on in the world that affects our economic stability.
Is it enough to say, I want to generate economic activity? Is it enough to say that?
No. You have to do something, as the governor did or recently, about like the terroristic threats and things like that, because that hurts our tourism, which hurts our economy overall.
Okay. Well, Doc, thank you very much, man. You've taken 3 weeks to be with me. Thank you very much. It's been a long 3 weeks, but it's a great 3 weeks, different conversations. Thank you very much. Okay?
Thank you.
It's good night for now. We'll talk to you tomorrow on The Buzz Isla 63 about this and whatever topic you want to talk about, whatever tickles your fancy. It's good night for now.